In the bustling coastal city of Valeria, there lived a successful importer named Victor Osaro. In his mid-30s, Victor was known for his sharp suits, luxury SUVs, and the way he carried himself like the world owed him respect. People whispered that money and status were his true loves. For 8 years he had been married to Liana, a soft-spoken, graceful woman with warm caramel skin and kind eyes. She had married him for love, not for his wealth. Yet for 8 long years they had no child, and every negative test slowly poisoned the marriage. One stormy night the poison finally spilled over. 8 years, Liana! Victor roared, slamming the door so hard the chandelier shook. 8 years and still nothing! My mother asks me every week when you'll give her grandchildren. My partners joke that I'm the only man in Valeria who can't produce an heir. Do you know what that does to a man? Liana sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling. Victor, we've seen doctors. I've taken every medicine, every herb. Maybe you should also. Don't you dare turn this on me, he shouted. I'm perfectly fine. You're the one who's empty. You live in my mansion, drive my cars, wear my jewelry, and give me nothing in return. You're useless to me now. Tears streamed down her face. Please don't say that. We promised each other forever. Forever without children is not forever, he sneered. Pack your things. By tomorrow you're gone. She fell to her knees, clutching his trousers. Victor, have mercy. Give me a little more time. He yanked his leg away. Time is over. My lawyer is already drafting the papers. That night, under pouring rain, Liana left the mansion with one small suitcase. The security guards looked away in shame. She walked until she reached the modest apartment of her old university friend, Serena. Serena opened the door and gasped. Liana, what happened? He threw me out, Liana whispered, collapsing into her arms. He called me barren, useless, a failure. Serena held her tight. That man will regret this one day. Mark my words. Weeks later, at Serena's insistence, Liana went for a full fertility check at St. Augustine Specialist Hospital. The kind-eyed doctor reviewed the results and smiled. Mrs. Osaro, everything is perfectly normal. Your ovaries, hormones, fallopian tubes, everything is healthy. You are very fertile. I strongly recommend your ex-husband gets tested. Liana sat frozen, then burst into tears, not of sorrow, but of vindication. After the divorce, Liana started a small catering business from Serena's veranda. She cooked the most delicious coconut rice, grilled fish, and pepper soup in the neighborhood. Word spread fast. Soon, office workers lined up every afternoon. One regular customer was Mateo, a calm, handsome architect who always ordered extra spicy. He came every day, made her laugh with gentle jokes, and slowly, carefully, won her heart. They married quietly. Mateo adored her, helped her open a proper restaurant called Sunrise Flavors, and treated her like the treasure Victor never saw. Then the miracle happened. One morning, Liana felt dizzy and nauseous. A test showed 2 pink lines. At the scan, the doctor's eyes widened. Congratulations, you're having quadruple 4 boys. When the boys were born healthy and strong, the whole neighborhood celebrated. Liana held her sons and whispered, God kept every tear and turned them into overflowing joy. 4 years later, Victor was preparing the most extravagant wedding Valeria had ever seen. His new fiancée, Cassandra, was a glamorous influencer from the capital. He bragged to everyone that this time he would finally have the family he deserved. And because pride is a dangerous thing, he made sure to send his ex-wife a gold-embossed invitation with a front-row seat. He smirked to his best man. Let her come and see what she missed. Let her watch me win. The wedding day arrived. The venue glittered with crystal chandeliers and imported roses. Guests in designer outfits sipped champagne. Victor stood at the altar in a white tuxedo, grinning. Then a sleek, midnight blue Rolls-Royce Phantom glided to the entrance. The door opened. Out stepped Liana, radiant in an elegant emerald gown, glowing with quiet confidence. On each side of her walked 4 identical little boys in tiny cream suits, holding her hands. The entire hall fell silent. Phones rose, gasps echoed, Victor's face drained of color. Liana walked calmly down the aisle, her son's little shoes tapping on the marble floor. She took her assigned front row seat, settled the boys on her lap, and offered the crowd a serene smile. Cassandra, halfway down the aisle, stopped dead. "Victor, who is that woman with those children?" Victor couldn't speak. The pastor cleared his throat awkwardly. Cassandra's voice rose. "You told me she was infertile. You divorced her because she couldn't have children. Those are quadruplet, Victor." The hall erupted in whispers. Cassandra's eyes filled with fury and humiliation. "You lied to me. You lied to everyone. It was you all along." She let the bouquet fall, turned, and walked straight back out, veil trailing behind her like surrender. Victor stood alone at the altar as the dream wedding collapsed around him. Later that evening, a broken man knocked on the door of Sunrise Flavors after closing time. Liana opened it and saw Victor, unkempt, eyes red, clutching his hat like a beggar. "I came to apologize," he said, voice cracking. "I was wrong about everything. The tests. It was me. Low count. I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me." Liana looked at him for a long moment, then at her 3 sleeping sons visible through the glass door. "I forgave you a long time ago," she said softly. "Not for your sake, but for mine. Go and find peace, Victor. I already have mine." She closed the door gently. Outside, the man who once thought he owned the world walked away under the streetlights, finally understanding that some losses are permanent and some blessings can never be bought back. And in the little restaurant filled with laughter, the scent of coconut rice, and the sound of children playing, Liana held her family close, smiling at the life she never needed to prove was possible, because God had already proved it for her. Sunrise Flavors, the empire that rose from ashes. In the city of Valeria, they still tell the story like a revival sermon. They say there was once a woman who was thrown out with nothing but a suitcase and a broken heart. They say she was called barren, useless, a failure. They say she walked through the rain with tears mixing on her cheeks. But she did not walk alone. Heaven walked with her. And from that night of rejection, something unstoppable was born. Sunrise Flavors did not begin as a restaurant. It began as a declaration. Every morning at 5 a.m., before the city woke up, Liana would tie her apron, light one small candle on the counter, and whisper the same prayer. "Lord, let every plate I serve today carry healing. Let every spoon taste like hope. Let every person who walks through this door leave lighter than they came." That prayer became the secret ingredient no recipe book can write down. From a tiny veranda with 4 plastic tables, the fragrance of coconut rice and redemption traveled farther than any marketing budget ever could. Office workers left their desks. Taxi drivers rerouted. Mothers brought their daughters and said, "Look at this woman. Remember her face when life tries to tell you it's over." When the viral video of the wedding that never was exploded across the world, millions didn't just watch a dramatic moment. They witnessed a resurrection, and they wanted to touch the miracle for themselves. They flew in from other countries. They stood in line for hours. They took selfies, not with the food, but with Liana, tears in their eyes, saying, "Because of you, I didn't give up." And Liana, she never charged extra for the hope. She kept her prices low and her doors wide. She looked every customer in the eye and said, "If I could rise, so can you." She hired the divorced. She hired the mocked. She hired the ones who had been told, "You'll never amount to anything." And she paid them wages that made them cry when they saw their first paycheck. She taught them her prayer. She taught them her recipes. She taught them that a scar is just a story with a happy ending. When investors came with blank checks and dreams of franchises in every capital city, Liana asked them one question: will every new location still feel like a hug from God? Some walked away. The ones who stayed learned that profit with purpose multiplies. In the following year, the waterfront location opened, not as a restaurant but as a cathedral of second chances. The walls are lined with framed letters from customers. I was going to end my life. I came here for one last meal. You looked at me and said, "Your breakthrough is already cooked." That day I chose to live. I was told I could never have children. 9 months after eating here, I held my son. I named him Sunrise. Every year on the anniversary of the day she was thrown out, Liana closes every branch. The staff gathers on the rooftop, now running around in tiny chef hats, help light 365 candles, one for every day she almost lost faith. Then Liana stands before her team, voice trembling with power, and declares, "We are not just feeding bodies. We are proof that what was meant to bury you can become the seed of an empire. We are proof that when they close one door, God opens a chain of restaurants." And the staff shouts back, voices cracking, aprons raised like banners. From ashes, we rise. From tears, we flavor the world. From rejection, we build tables long enough for everyone to sit. Today, Sunrise Flavors is more than a brand. It is a movement. It is a testimony shouted from rooftops. It is living, breathing evidence that the God who turned water into wine still turns wounds into wealth, mourning into mourning, and a broken woman into a mother of nations. If you ever visit Valeria, go early. Stand in the line that wraps around the block. Watch the sun rise over the marina and paint the glass building gold. When you finally sit down and that first spoonful of pepper soup hits your tongue, like fire, like forgiveness, like a future you thought was lost, you will understand why grown men weep at their tables, why strangers hug, why little boys in chef coats run between the chairs shouting, "Mommy turned her pain into our portion." That, beloved, is not just success. That is scripture with seasoning. That is resurrection you can taste. And every time the doors open at Sunrise Flavors, heaven leans in and whispers the same promise Liana prayed over her very first pot. What they rejected became the cornerstone. Watch me build with it.
If you're still here with tears in your eyes or fire in your chest, then this story hit the same spot it hit me when I first heard about Liana. That's the power of a comeback story. It doesn't just inspire you. It reminds you that the chapter you're in right now is not the end of your book. So do every woman still standing in her own reign a favor. Hit that like button if you believe rejection is just redirection in disguise. Drop a comment and tell us, what's the suitcase moment you're turning into your own sunrise right now? I read every single one. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because every week I bring you more stories of people who refuse to stay broken. Real proof that your best days are not behind you. And share this video with that one friend who needs to hear that the storm doesn't get the final say. She does. Let's flood timelines with hope today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. Now go out there and cook your own resurrection. I'll see you in the next one. Fire.